Okay. So sleep is absolutely beneficial for surviving through your college years. And once again, you guys know that all of this information you can look up. I'm curious if you have looked things up. And I do challenge you to look things up and research a little bit more all the information that you get. The biggest thing about the presentations that we're going to be doing for Wellness Wednesdays is this is a time where you guys can interact with each other and connect and learn about how things are going at school, what you're doing well, and what you may need some help with. So that is the big thing that I want to get across to you with Wellness Wednesdays. This is a time for you guys, okay? So let's move on. Why we need sleep. So let me hear from you guys. What are some important reasons why we sleep?
It helps with the mind, rejuvenating the mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, well, the reason I think we need sleep is that with sleep, it gives us energy to, jumpstart our day, basically.
Yeah. Good. So we have to have that energy to be able to get through the day, and our mind needs some rejuvenation, some refreshment, so that we make wise decisions and know how to judge rationally. Yeah. So a lack of sleep, research has showed, increases mental health issues. It actually decreases our academic success. And there are some safety concerns when we don't get enough sleep. And so because of these issues, it's very, very important, especially when you're in college, to learn what you can about sleep and ways to make your sleep better. And to learn about the consequences of it. So this presentation will give you some of those ideas, but let you kind of come up with ideas to make your sleep a little bit better. One quote that I liked: our bodies require long periods of sleep in order to restore and rejuvenate. Jessie, thank you for that word. To grow muscle, repair tissue, and synthesize hormones. And that's from the Sleep Foundation. One thing I think we don't really think about is there are a few things our bodies need, right? We need air, we need food, we need to get rid of the food, we need to take in water and get rid of the water. But something struck me, I heard something the other day, we absolutely need sleep as well. So that's something I thought struck me. We need air, food, water, and we need sleep. Our bodies have to have it. So we're going to start off just sticking together. All of us can come off of mute. Jill, Perry, you jump in too. But let's imagine we have an exam Thursday or 2 days from now. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. But you also have somewhere unrelated to this class exam that you have to drive to at 7 o'clock in the morning. Tell me some things that are going through your mind. We're talking about sleep here, but tell me some things that you might be thinking when you see that.
You have to get up earlier.
Yeah. Okay. You have to get up earlier to get to your 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing with your studying? What'd you do?
Oh, I haven't been doing well with my studying at all.
So if this is you might have been up all night, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some nights that I'm up until midnight.
So that's a late night for you, Jesse. Midnight. Olivia, how are you doing? Are you having to stay up and do some cramming?
Um, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like my first. It's only like my first week of college, and I was, yeah, I was staying really late trying to get, like trying to get everything done by a certain deadline.
Okay. So we're going to talk through, as we go through this presentation, we'll talk through that a little bit more too, and maybe try to figure out how do we fit sleep when we have other things happening. So how do we fit sleep in there too? So this presentation, I'm gonna close my door really quick, guys. Sorry, I don't want to make a whole bunches of noise. This presentation is really going to discuss sleep, the lack of sleep, and physical health, mental health, and academic success. So we tend to think of sleep as a time when nothing's happening. We kind of shut down, but actually it's kind of the opposite. Sleep is an active period for processing, rejuvenating, strengthening. What's kind of interesting, there's a whole lot of sleep research that's going on right now, and changes in the way that we think about sleep. Scientists are even wondering, why does our body need a long period of sleep to do all of this processing? It's still kind of a mystery to them. But they do understand some of the functions. The biggest thing that they understand is that for optimal health and well-being of our bodies overall, we have to have longer periods of sleep. And when I say that, that's 7 to 9 hours. So even as a college student, even with everything we have going on, we still need to try to get those 7 to 9 hours in there so that we can be at our optimal health. So as we go about our day, our brain is taking in a ton of information, including what you're hearing right now with this, right? You're taking in information about sleep and ways that you can improve. You take notes and you review and you study. This is all what you're doing when you're in your classes. You're in unique situations because it's virtual now too. So our brains are getting really tired. We're starting to even get virtual fatigue. So this is why it's even more vital that we get this sleep. When sleep happens, the information that we've taken in as short-term memory has an opportunity to transition through some rejuvenation and everything. And the pieces of information that are short-term memory consolidate and they end up becoming long-term memory through a process. So that is why why we sleep is so important, because the information that you're taking in when you're in your classes ends up going to your long-term memory so you can retain it and then regurgitate it when you do have your exams and everything. So again, long periods of sleep, the 7 to the 9 hours of sleep is vital. Part of what we were talking about, if you try to cram it all in, your brain has less time to actually do the consolidation. So, you may think you're throwing it all in and you're going to remember it, but if you take your time and do a couple of hours here one night, a couple of hours there, your brain will start consolidating all that information. So that is one reason for decreasing procrastination. So, all right, lots and lots of information there. So lack of sleep and physical health. Tell me some things that you guys have heard about. When you don't sleep, what happens to your physical health?
You're tired throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
irritable,
Yes.
agitated.
Mm-hmm.
You can gain weight.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Jesse. Yep. You can gain weight. All right. So you hit on some of the physical lack of sleep has actually been linked to some of our chronic diseases like obesity, the gaining of the weight, heart disease, and diabetes. It also has been linked to a decreased life expectancy. So this shows it's really vital to get your sleep. I thought it was interesting, the lack of sleep and the obesity. There was some research done, and when you are sleep deprived, what happens is an increase in your hormone called ghrelin, which is associated with the hunger that you have for high calorie foods. When you're sleep deprived, that hormone goes up, and the hormone that makes you less hungry, called leptin, that one goes down. So, you know, that kind of shows you why it is when you're sleepy, when you haven't gotten that sleep, the obesity can happen. So this is scientific information there. The other part is it does lower your immune system when you don't have enough sleep. So right now, with everything going on with flu coming around the bend and COVID, we want really strong immune systems. And so it's very important sleep. The second thing, and I'm going to plug it in here, is we are doing flu shots. So if you are local, be on the lookout because we've got a couple of drive-through clinics at the Health and Wellness Center. We'll have them in different areas, but just be looking out for that. Our flu fighters. Jill, are you going to add something?
And it's free.
Thank you. So, free flu shot. Thank you. So the other things, if you are in any kind of athletic performance, an athletic team, or if you walk, run, the lack of sleep actually decreases your performance with that too, and reaction time. So there have been studies on NBA players who missed shots because of sleep. So, okay. Questions about that? Anything? Okay. Let's look at lack of sleep and mental health. Study was done. And so Jesse, the last time you said aggravation, irritability, a lot of those, you were right on. When we have a lack of sleep, research has shown our outlook on life actually decreases. We have a lower energy level, which can make us more irritable, and our motivation is lowered. So, you know, do I really want to get back on Zoom? If you don't have the sleep in you, then, you know, you may be less motivated to do the work. And then, of course, your emotions, the irritability, cranky. I have tended to explode, and I knew it was because I was tired. How about you guys? When you're tired, what are some things that you think that maybe you wouldn't have thought if you weren't tired?
Well, I have a problem thinking when I'm tired.
Period.
Yeah, same. Like I feel like if I were tired, I would think to myself, why did I not get enough sleep?
So you get mad at yourself.
Yeah.
Like, now if only I could get a little more sleep. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So sleep issues and mental health, they are correlated. It is very important to get enough sleep early on, because there was one research that I looked at I thought was really great, and it did say they looked at college students when they were getting enough sleep and kind of looked at their psychological distress, their mental health, and everything was okay. Then they checked on them a little bit longer through their academic career, and they found those that started having sleep problems did end up having some mental health issues along the way. So, Jesse, you were saying, just getting some additional assistance with how to prioritize some of the things that you've got going on. Huge, huge call there. All of those things are important to take care of early when you recognize something may be happening. So, what do you think's going on here at Queens? Do you think you guys are getting enough sleep?
Well, I know I'm not getting enough sleep. I can only sleep roughly about 6 hours. Then what kind of happens is it builds up, and then I get really, really exhausted, and then I can sleep longer than 6 hours.
Okay, you get extremely tired and it's built up, so you then have to sleep. Yeah. Olivia, are you sleeping? Are you in the beginning or the end?
I
Not so bad.
I mean, I would have to say I don't know. I would have to say the end, I think, because I mean, it depends. Like when I'm trying to finish an assignment before bed, and and it gets really late.
Yeah. And that's very normal. And thank you guys for that input. So we have done.
Margo, Gabrielle has something that she wants to add.
Oh, Gabrielle. Hey.
Hi.
Oh, hey, Gabrielle. Good to see you. Thank you. Come on.
It depends on my busy schedule. If I have work at the night shift, I'll get like 7, maybe like 6.5 hours of sleep, because like whenever I get home, I would just get, if I have an assignment to do like in a few days, I would just like get it done before I go to sleep, because sometimes I wake up like cranky and exhausted and not energized and stuff.
Yes. And then that affects your next day. Exactly. Thank you, Gabrielle. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah. So, yeah. So basically what I want you guys to really get from this is you are not alone. This is something that a lot of you guys are experiencing. We did a survey in 2019, and the Queen's data showed 92% of Queen's students reported not getting enough sleep 5 out of 7 days. And 45% experienced significant sleepiness during their daytime activities. And we also found that the third leading factor affecting your academic performance is sleep. So this is something that a huge percentage of Queen students are dealing with. And this is something that we can pass on and try to help make a little bit better. I wanted to mention this from another research article. This said sleep measures accounted for 25% of variance in academic performance. So these findings provide evidence that better quality, longer duration, and greater consistency of sleep are strongly associated with better academic I think you guys have said you know that, right? So sleep is important. We know it. What can we do about it? And that's where we're going to go next. We're going to give you the practical. I am a firm believer in habits. I think the first session that you guys have been in with us, I mentioned habits to you. And we talked about the fact that if you repeat habits, you get to the end result. And if you keep repeating bad habits, say you decide, oh, I'm not going to study right now, I am going to do this other thing and I'll study later and just cram, and you do that day after day after day, the habit is going to trend you down to being sleep deprived. But if you make a decision to do something different and, hey, let me just study for 30 minutes here, and schedule some study time here and make sure I go to bed at this time, that is going to keep building to a better result. So tell me, we'll unmute again. Tell me some things that you guys do that, or can do, that could establish some good sleep habits. And I've given you a couple little hints, so you can work off this.
Go to bed earlier.
Okay. Earlier than you are now.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Jesse, what if you went to bed at 10 now or tonight, but then tomorrow you went to bed at 11, and then you tried again 10, and then you went at 12? What could you do differently with that?
I'm going to try to go to bed consistently at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
One of the problems that I have, though, is my mind, when I'm going to bed, is going so fast that I can't slow it down enough to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And then I have a tendency to either read or play a game or something. And I know that doesn't help, but if I just lay there, I even have a more difficult time to go to sleep because then my thoughts just run rampant.
Okay. So that's a couple of things in there, and that's a good comment. It actually brings up quite a few things here. One of the things, reading. Now, I'm assuming when you say reading or playing a game, are you reading on your phone or tablet?
Yeah, on my phone or tablet, and it's always the news of what's going on in the world.
Uh-huh. So
That's bad in itself. That'll keep us all awake.
Exactly.
And then first thing in the morning when I get up, the first thing I do is I read the news to find out what's going on in the world, even though it's the same, even though nothing has changed within the 6 hours that I've read it.
Well, I don't know. There might be someone tweeting in the wee hours of the morning. Just saying.
Right. Yeah. So excellent. Those are, even right there, I think you've identified some of the things without even talking about it. You know some of the different things. An evening ritual, Jesse, is what I'm thinking might be a good sleep habit for you. So the ritual you have right now, you've already identified isn't working for you because you're thinking about the things that you're reading on the news and then you wake up reading them. So a different ritual for you may be helpful to calm your mind down. And that is one of the habits that was recommended by the Sleep Foundation. So turning off your phone, putting that somewhere else, and then also not putting into your brain something that makes you have some anxiety. So your evening ritual is going to be something that can help each and every one of you, finding one that works for you and giving yourself enough time to do that. Some people, they read a real book. instead of one on their phone. Some people take a warm bath. A lot of people use things like lavender. Another thing is a meditation of some sort can sometimes help as well. So avoiding things that trigger you and putting things in that can actually trigger you to sleep is a good thing to do as an evening ritual. And the sanctuary, where you go to bed, try to make it a place that's peaceful and is devoted to sleep. You know, there has been some studies that if you do other things in your bed, your brain starts to not recognize your bed as a place for sleep, but as a place for activity. So that can sometimes help too. Do any of you drink a lot of caffeine?
I drink half and half sweet tea throughout the day.
Throughout the day, yeah. Okay. Saw some other hands saying, yeah, Gabrielle. How about you?
Yeah, like I would drink a whole lot of caffeine to keep myself wake up. I just keep myself awake.
What time do you stop drinking caffeinated?
It depends.
Depends. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are having trouble sleeping, they do recommend to stop drinking the caffeinated beverages at least 4 to 6 hours before you go to bed. And that can help. The other thing, while we're talking about food and drink, is alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant, and we're going to talk on the next slide a little bit more about what alcohol does, but it isn't necessarily something that will help you to sleep better, so avoiding that as well. And then, you know, the stress reduction. Jesse, I really hear you about the anxiety. You know, if you're laying in bed and you just can't fall asleep and it's been about 20 minutes, it may be a good idea just to get up and go somewhere else, calm your mind down, take some deep breaths, and then in just a couple of slides, we're going to talk about a journal, so that may help as well. All right. I talked a lot. Jill, what's up?
Well, I was going to say, I have that problem with my mind racing. And I find that if I have a notepad by the bed and just list what I'm worried about, it's like it seems so much bigger and it's in my head, but when I write it down, it may only be 3 things. I get it out of my head and that helps. And also there's a ton of apps that can help you slow down and calm.
Yes, thank you. That's perfect. So some great ideas. Good sleep habits, very important. So alcohol and sleep, I mentioned alcohol. And again, it is something that can make you fall asleep. The problem with alcohol is it disrupts the quality of your sleep. So have you guys ever heard of circadian rhythm? Yeah, yes. Okay. So number one, you have some sleep rhythms. We go through different activities, the memory formation and everything that happens. That's part of our sleep. But there's also another wave, another rhythm that happens during while you're awake. And so when you drink alcohol, sometimes it messes these rhythms up and you're asleep and getting your rejuvenation, but you're also having these patterns that make you feel like you're awake. So your quality of sleep is really disrupted. It also affects the circadian rhythm. So, you know, you have a certain rhythm of the time that you go to sleep and the activities that are happening while you're sleeping. the sleep cycles. And if you are woken up because of these battling rhythms and everything, your circadian rhythm gets disrupted, and that messes your next day up and fragments you. It also, alcohol blocks your REM sleep. That's your rapid eye movement, and that is one of the most important restorative types of sleep. And so having that messed up can really disrupt your next day too. This is also a big deal. It can aggravate breathing problems. So with alcohol being a depressant, you've noticed when you drink alcohol, your muscles really relax. Well, your muscles in your throat also relax. That's why if you've had alcohol, sometimes you snore a little bit more because of that. But also, it can cause your breathing to be disrupted and stop breathing. And one of the Wellness Wednesdays that we're going to be doing is going to tell a little bit more about alcohol awareness. So we'll talk more about that then. But just so you're aware, that's why it's extremely important for being aware of alcohol and the consequences that it can have on our bodies as well. And then, of course, throwing in the extra bathroom breaks, caffeine, alcohol, all of that. If you have to wake up in the middle of the night, who wants to do that? So what if you had a bad night? Can you guys take a nap?
I don't take naps.
Okay.
Only because I have hard time sleeping as it is, and if I do take a nap, then it'll keep me up longer.
Okay, so you found that about yourself. Excellent, Jesse. Yeah. Well, for some of us, we feel like we are not supposed to take naps because we're not in kindergarten anymore. But naps they are okay if you notice that they're not going to cause you trouble at night. Small, short 10 to 20-minute naps can actually improve your mood and alertness and performance. Now, they're not going to make up for you having inadequate sleep. If you don't sleep for a long period of time, you end up with sleep debt. You don't actually recover that sleep. You can't say, oh, I'm going to sleep 5 hours for 4 nights and then try to make it up. It doesn't really work that way. But naps can actually help you restore some of your energy in the middle of the day if you're able to take them. You do want to beware of the sleep inertia, and that's where if you take too long of a nap, you can get into some of those sleep cycles and end up breaking the sleep cycle, and then you feel groggier, and it really doesn't help if you sleep too long. So all right, so what if you do have troubles, and Jesse, it did sound like you say you have difficulty sleeping. So this I really liked. It came from howdidyousleep.org. So you're welcome to take a picture. I am a big writer, and it sounds like Jill also, for her, works to write something down. So if you're having trouble sleeping on a regular basis, then keeping a sleep diary and asking yourself some of these questions may be helpful to help identify some of the things that are happening. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about, it affects our physical health, affects our mental health to have a lack of sleep. It affects our academic performance. But, there are some very serious consequences to lack of sleep as well. And I want to show this. I think we have enough time to see this video here. Starting off, just reiterate, sleep restriction That is when we get less than the 7 to 9 hours of sleep that's required for our bodies really to get the rejuvenation that it needs. When we don't get that over a period of time, again, we have that sleep debt, and that can lead to the chronic sleepiness, and then that can lead to additional problems. You may hear them talk about that in this quickly. Sleep fragmentation, that's that quality of sleep that we were talking about. If you aren't sleeping well through the night and you're not getting your rhythms and your circadian pattern isn't getting through and the cycles aren't happening, your quality is decreased. And over time, some things can happen. And I just want to share this with you. It's kind of a little bit longer. It's about 5 minutes, but it's intriguing. So we'll play this. Can you guys hear it?
What do you think is more dangerous? Driving drunk, high, or while drowsy?
I'd say driving drunk.
Driving drunk? Yeah, that's what I would say. Drunk driving, I think. What do you think? Drunk, probably. I think driving drunk. Say drunk. I think drunk. What, all of them? Drunk?
Drowsy.
Oh, equally dangerous. But that's interesting.
I was on my skateboard. I just passed out.
On a cliff. Like in the hallway of my school. Like, it's definitely not the safest place.
At a concert.
Yeah, public transportation. That's always a strange one. On a bus.
On the subway.
Probably Times Square. I don't know how I did it. Oh, bathroom floors. Safeway bathroom. Wow.
I was asleep in a tree before. That's happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Oh, shower
scary.
maybe?
Probably in my car.
Sebastian is a child. Quiet.
Well, Sebastian is a very creative kid, so he drew and he was kind of like a master Lego builder.
Sebastian and I have been dating for 7 years. This will be our 7th year. Whenever I need anything, he's always there. So he's reliable.
I just wanted to be independent, go, work, make my own money, hang out with my girlfriend. I didn't see sleepy or drowsy driving as a distraction. I was really tired, didn't get a lot of sleep that day. Getting ready for work, average day. I remember telling myself at one point, pull over. I just closed my eyes for what felt like just a few seconds. And then I collided with another car. And they had to, bring the jaws of life to pull Sydney out of the car. They pulled her out of the car. I remember seeing the 2 paramedics that were helping her hug each other. And that's when I knew that I had killed someone.
There are many forms of impairment that can be dangerous behind the wheel, whether driving intoxicated, high, or distracted. All are dangerous to yourself and others. Closing your eyes for 3 seconds at highway speeds is equal to driving the length of a football field blindfolded. As an officer in the CHP, I've seen it all. I've seen drivers apply makeup while driving, reaching in the back seat, texting, taking selfies. I've even seen a driver shave. Sebastian didn't wake up that morning and decide to kill someone. But the reality is that his poor decision behind the wheel caused another person to lose their life. Things that you can do to stay safe while driving include pull over if you feel tired. Don't drive late at night. Always wear your seatbelt. Follow the traffic laws. Speak up when feeling unsafe, whether as the driver or the passenger. Do not drive intoxicated, high, or distracted.
If you need to take a nap, take a short 10-minute nap. That's okay. You're gonna get where you need to go eventually.
I'll never forget Sydney. I actually got a tattoo on my arm in a place that I can see it to remind me that I'm not just living for myself, but I'm living in her name too.
The reality is, driving requires 100% of our attention and focus. Keep your hands on the wheel, wear your seatbelt, and always be aware of what's in front of you and around you. It is a responsibility of all of us to make good choices each and every ride.
Right. So, what are some thoughts? After seeing that?
It's tragic.
It is tragic.
Was Jesse gonna say something?
Go ahead, Olivia.
Well, I guess we saw that how tired he was. He killed that girl. He killed Sydney. I was just like,
Yeah. And it's interesting that we don't really think about that. You know, obviously, drunk driving, we're very aware of that, but you know, the fact that just three seconds, passing out for 3 seconds behind the wheel. So you know, there are huge consequences to sleepiness, and we are extra sleepy when we're extra busy and we've got classes and fatigue, other things going on. So you know, that's why this is so important to recognize as a strong issue for us. So, all right, quickly, that same exam, after everything that we've talked about, and you've got that 7 a.m. Thursday morning right before that exam. Did you guys do anything different than you talked about in the beginning? Would you cram? Would you stay up and cram the night before?
Well, I'm going to try to get rid of that 7 a.m. whatever I have to go to. I'm going to try to reschedule that because that's not working for me at all.
There you go. Yes. Good. Jesse.
I'm a person, well, I mean, I would go to bed earlier and not cram as much. The problem that I have right now is I'm actually a night person and I'm a morning person.
Oh.
So, you know, I know most people are one or the other, and I happen to be both. So
you have a time at night when you work well and have a lot of energy, but you also have a time in the morning that you work well and
yeah,
have.
Usually it's the first thing in the morning. Then around 11, 12 o'clock, that's when I start drizzling down into exhaustion.
Okay. Yep. What keeps you guys from getting the sleep that you need?
For me, it's just my constant thinking. I'm either thinking about school, thinking about situations that are going on in my life, or just in general, everything, climate change, all that. I just constantly think. That's my problem for not getting enough sleep.
Hi, Ariel. Thanks for joining. Did you have a comment? All right. What would help? What would improve for you guys if you did get 7 hours of sleep or more?
I'm having a problem.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ariel. I don't know if I could hear you there.
Can you type it in the chat? It's glitching.
I think she might be. So, we'll move on to some sleep disorders. And there are people who live with many sleep disorders. Some of them, insomnia, we've been talking a lot about that, not really being able to sleep. There are a couple of other sleep disorders. These are actual sleep problems. There are some signs. Pick these up off of the Sleep Foundation, and they may be kind of interesting to write down. But these are 4 signs to ask yourself if you have trouble falling or remaining asleep. You find it difficult to stay awake during the day. There are imbalances in your circadian rhythm that interfere with a healthy sleep schedule, or you're prone to unusual behaviors that disrupt your sleep. And if you said yes to any of these, what may help, there are some sleep resources for you that I've pulled together. And number 1, the Health and Wellness Center. That is Jill Perry, myself, Diane Stiegel, and we do have some counselors as well on staff, Kate Regan and a few others. So talking to us, the next slide will have more information about our Health and Wellness Center and our availability. And the Centers for Disease Control, cdc.gov/sleep, is a good place to get some information. sleepeducation.org and the sleepfoundation.org are some really good resources to learn a little bit more about sleep. The Health and Wellness Center, how we can help. So we, that's Sunshine, right, Jill?
Nola.
Oh, that's Nola. So that's one of our lovely therapy dogs here at the Health and Wellness Center. But we can do a physical evaluation. It will be virtual at this point in time, but we can schedule you for a time to talk with us about some of the sleep issues that you may be having. We have the counseling that I mentioned. We can also make referrals out, provide education about sleep, and you can get your medical visit. And again, plug in, make sure you get your flu shot. That's the best prevention that you can do to prevent flu. All right, guys, do you have any questions? We'll wrap it up. Question? Well, I thank you all very much for joining again for this Wellness Wednesday. Next week, Holly is doing her yoga and meditation, and that will be available. Yeah, excellent. That'll be available on Rex's, and you'll get some announcements for that. And then we will be doing our next Wellness Wednesday is going to be on prevention of illnesses. So I would love to see you guys with that. And we're going to pass it on and hopefully get some more that we can have a discussion about some things that we're doing to prevent illnesses. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I enjoyed having this conversation with you, and we look forward to seeing you guys again. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.